Hello, everyone, and welcome back to this episode of Magnificence. My name is G. I'm here as your dungeon master, as always. It's been a minute since we've introduced everyone. Let's do that again, real quick. Just go around, remind everyone of our players and characters joining us at the virtual table today. I'll go ahead and go around and call on everyone like a second grade teacher, and everyone go ahead and introduce yourselves. So, first up, we have Jacqueline.
Hey, I'm Jacqueline, and I am playing Elena Montsen.
Next in line, we have Emma.
Oh boy. Hello, everybody. My name is Emma, and I am playing Kuvos Nemenath, the Triton Wizard.
Lovely. Up next, we have Rosie.
Hello, yes, I am Rosie. I play Sage Xenius. Also, I've noticed Emma says, oh boy, at the start of every single introduction she ever does, and I think it's adorable.
So true. So true.
Called out.
How dare you all call me out like this?
Next down our line, we have Winter.
Hello, I am Mistress Winter, she, her, and I am playing Suda, and sometimes her sister, Naomi.
Ooh. Oohing like we don't already know. Next up down the line, we have Grace.
Hello, I'm Grace, and I am playing Caradwyn, no last name.
Thank you, Caradwyn, no last name. Next up, we have, finally, last but not least, Andy.
Hi, I'm Andy, and I'm playing Olwyn Tanner, local angry hobo man from the forest in the Empire.
God, I love hearing the switch from just normal speaking voice Andy to Olwyn Tanner. So good.
It is distinct.
I also love that of all the descriptors for Olwyn, it was Angry Hobo Man today.
There's a lot of ways to describe Olwyn, my friends. Of course, before we start, just as always, just a quick shout out and thank you to Sarsen Games for the source book that we're using all throughout this whole campaign. Oracles of Agra provides us a lovely pantheon and a couple of very fun subclasses that a few of our party members use. So as always, again, thank you to those guys for writing that source book that we're using, and please check them out for more fun stuff. Without further ado, I would like to go ahead and jump into a quick recap of our last couple sessions. Last time we saw our party, we picked up right after scouting out the mansion townhome of the one and only Athen Cleary. Eventually, the party does reconvene to move on to actually meeting with her, speaking with her, seeing if they can't figure out how to move forward and get Leto's invention from her. The party knocks on her door, and a pale, darkly dressed woman answers and lets them in as soon as they mention Duke Leto, soon revealing herself to be Athen Cleary, and explains how she cannot finish his commission until she deals with a sort of emergency in her lab. When inquired about it, Athen reluctantly takes them down to the basement lab to show them, where the party soon learns that Athen is not very long for this world. And in her fear of death, she has begun creating something that she coins the term for, calling them automatons. Athen introduces them to each of the stages of this invention, each new level getting a bit more advanced, but a bit more strange in their behavior. The most recent version, the most successful version Athen sees it as, one that she calls the Dream Crown, is not in its casing, instead looking as if it broke out. Athen describes that there was a strange state of distress that the Dream Crown went into. It broke from its casing, attacked someone that was visiting her lab, and fled, and that it is now loose in the city, and Athen fears what it may do. So, she has enlisted to the party to assist her in getting this automaton back, in as many whole pieces as they can manage, saying that she prefers it intact, but understands that it is dangerous and it does need to be stopped. So, with many clues on where to go next, and a pretty good direction on the plan ahead, the party does leave Athen Cleary's home, and we are going to actually pick up not directly outside of that home. We're going to pick up back at the inn that Leto arranged for the party, knowing that the information was given to Suda to meet back there, and knowing that her assistance is needed to continue in this quest. Suda, wonderful to have her back. You have arrived finally within the city and gone straight to the inn that Leto gave you directions to, saying the rest of the party would be staying there. And you're there hanging out for maybe an hour and a half before you do see the rest of the party enter eventually, and you are all able to reconvene.
During that hour, I would have scoped out a fine maiden with needle and thread skills to sew up my hurt. So when the party does find me, wherever they find me, it's open shirt as this woman is stitching up this long gash in my torso. Just sitting there drinking to numb the pain.
Amazing. Yeah, you guys entered to see Suda leaned back in a dimly lit booth of this lower tavern floor, just enjoying a drink, open shirt, tousled hair, just immediately made herself at home. Sitting beside her is sort of like a plump young woman with very pale hair and eyes, sitting with a perpetual grin on her face as she sort of converses gently in the dimly lit booth, stitching up this garment for Suda. The two engaged in quiet personal conversation with each other. The young woman who's assisting with the repairs very much enjoying her company.
What tried to kill you and died?
If you went on an errand and this happened, maybe it wasn't one you should have been doing alone.
I did not die, did I not? I am sitting before you. And to answer your question, Olwen, Suda reaches into her jacket and pulls out the rubbing that she made of the fighter's armor and rolls it out onto the table. Whoever was wearing this.
Does it look like standard, Empire armor?
The rubbing is shroud more like Empire armor. It does belong to the Noble House Shroudmore, does belong directly to the Empire. It is damaged. There's a slash in the crest, but it does look like standard issue. So it sort of suggests people, at the very least, wearing this Empire armor were the ones Suda had dealt with.
So, let's just say that this individual will not be needing the armor any further.
You put down a dead rabid dog, so good, I guess.
The young woman sitting beside you, Suda, is about finished with mending this garment for you, and has just been kind of looking awkwardly between you and the rest of the party that has shown up. Kind of leans in close to you, she hands it over. I'm going to leave you be to let you speak with your friends. You know where to find me later if you like. Hands it back and just sort of casts a little grin as she shuffles out of the booth awkwardly, trying to get past the party members.
Elena does not move over to let her pass.
Holy shit.
Just watches her go. You had fun, didn't you?
Suda will give her a wink and flick her a copper before turning back to the group and addressing Elena. It was good exercise, I think. How was your evening?
Well, we have a job. Or at least a task.
Another one? I thought we had something to do with some dig or other.
This is in relation to said gig.
Ah.
And remember that person that you said you would introduce me to when we got here? That knight?
Yes.
They might be involved. Apparently they were the last person to see whatever we were hunting anyway. So now we have two things that we need to ask them about.
Ooh. We're hunting something. What are we hunting?
Athen Cleary had to stop her work on the Heart Mimic because another project of hers
Escaped.
went astray.
Escaped.
Ooh, this sounds like some more fun.
It should be right up your alley, now that I think about it. I can finish that if you like, and Keratin will offer to finish stitching up whatever needs mending.
Are you any good with flesh?
Yes?
And she shows this like long gash down her torso.
That will scar beautifully if you let me look at it.
Well, you are free to touch my flesh anytime. Wink.
No words. We've reached the limit of Caradwyn's ability to like be charming and interact with people, and we are just.
So while we work on mending that up, first of all, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. Was the errand just taking care of this rabid dog, or was there something else you were out to accomplish?
If we want to get into specifics, there was an older gentleman who we had met on the road, was passing around unsightly pictures of me. And he had a younger fellow who I hope has learned to be careful about who hunts who.
That's ominous.
I thought it rather poetic.
If you suture your wounds with your own hair, it makes it less likely for the wound to get infected.
And all eyes turn to Olwen. Like,
Definite side eye after that comment.
You probably don't know the reasoning behind it. I'll figure it out later. So the new errand that we would like to do in order to get the heart mimic, Athen Cleary created something she calls an automaton. The specific one we're looking for is called the Dream Crown. It has the ability to make its own decisions and move about in the world. And it attacked some nobility from House Drevyn when it escaped.
Knight Julan of House Drevyn, who I believe you already planned to speak to, if I'm not mistaken.
We did.
oh, some sort of, magical machine?
That would be correct.
You know, I do have my contact. Sir Nashana is a friend of mine, expert engineer with the Creators Expansion Union. We might be able to leverage his expertise in helping us track down our fugitive.
I suppose that could help as well. We do still have to talk to Julan.
Oh, important thing that no one had yet mentioned. The Dream Crown also sees anything that isn't Athen as an enemy and is strong enough to break stone with its hands.
It's very impressive.
It's dangerous is what it is, but yeah.
It can be both.
And she'd still like us to return it to her in as few pieces as possible, so this should prove a fun challenge.
So we're going to need chain, not rope.
I think that's valid, although it broke out of... What were those boxes made of?
It seemed to be reinforced glass of some kind, because you could see inside of it.
So we'll need something stronger to contain it.
Yes, or I still think if we just disassemble it a little at the joints, perhaps, removing its head would prove significantly less of a threat, at least long enough for us to get it back to Athen. She didn't say we couldn't take it apart, just that she would rather we didn't break it into too many pieces.
She wishes to disassemble it herself, to figure out what worked.
If it's a conscious creature, removing its head and then carting it around seems a form of torment.
If it even survives after that.
Well, Kuvos, you and I both have similar abilities to restrain things, but neither of our things seem to hold things for long. Could anyone find something more permanent while the two of us tried to stall it for a few seconds, maybe?
That's a good thought.
It depends on some factors. If you have a lock, I can reinforce it. I have some defensive spellcasting that I could use, but I don't know that it would work on a construct.
Well, chain might be a good idea, as long as we find a quality link with not too many breaks. It should hold up better than stone or glass. But can anyone else get close other than Suda?
I can make someone invisible.
I can help protect anybody who does approach.
Alright, so right now is our beginning of an idea to try and restrain it, either via Kuvos or I, and have Suda and one other person try to chain it down after.
Well, we don't necessarily need to chain it down as long as we can bind it in a way that we can still control it.
Importantly, I believe it has the capabilities to communicate.
I want to know if it has a mind.
Well, she mentioned it had some psychic ability, which implies that it may be able to communicate with us, And two, the more that I think about it, it might still be able to fight back, even if we were to bind it completely.
Perhaps there's a possibility that we may not need to bind it if it can make decisions, if it can reason.
If I can reason with it? Elena at this point is like, she's part of the conversation, but she's kind of sitting in her own space, taking up a thing, and she's part of the brainstorming, but also a little bit separate. Something about how, I know she didn't think it had consciousness quite, but I don't know, something in how she was describing that creature, we might be able to reason with it.
I personally don't think that she doesn't think it's alive. I think she doesn't want to believe that it is. Some of the words that she used, this creature is afraid of things. Fear isn't something that objects have.
Exactly.
This is... You're all concerning me. We are going after some animated statue thing, are we not? Or are we going against something that has individuality, self?
We don't know.
Right now, our guess is it might.
I think that's what's most concerning.
Suda just sits back in thought, some of the mirth having faded.
Athen's goal was to create a form that, while not biological, she could live through. To create something that could possess her intellect and herself in the future in which her physical body cannot continue to carry her.
Foolish.
I think the first thing we need to do is check with this friend of yours. If they saw when this flipped, maybe we can get an understanding of what happened, why the automaton creature, whatever it is, attacked them, if they know. They have any insight on where it might have gone? We need information.
Yes, I completely agree. Also, how it moves, what kind of damage it does.
DM, what time of day is it? Like, is it midday? Is it late? Are we too late to, like, go looking today versus, like, we go looking now?
It is dark outside, but that's only because the Empire sucks. It's, like, late afternoon. It is, like, getting to be really, really dark, but it's only, like, 4 p.m.-ish, 4 p.m. So you still have a good chunk of the day left, even though it is equivalent to nighttime outside.
Well, I think I am done here. I am done stitching up Suda's abdomen gash. As soon as we are all ready to move on, I think the sooner the better.
Thank you, Carrie. I appreciate the assist.
Are we all going to talk to your friend? Would they get jumpy if an entire group of people went to their place of staying and started asking demanding questions? Should some of us be elsewhere?
Now, are we talking about Cercado or the other individual that we need to speak to?
Julan.
I will say, Suda, Sir Kato, of course, you know them, you know him, he's a contact of yours. Knight Julan, you have never actually met. You know of him.
Got you.
You know he's of House Drevyn. You're pretty sure you know where the House Drevyn estate is here in Mardo, here in Walking Still. Never actually met him before.
And above the table question for our DM, because I don't remember, what is the relationship like between House Drevyn and House Lendaris?
House Drevyn is new money. They were ascended 3 years ago. They are the 15th house of the Empire, so they're the very bottom. They are in public support of Shroudmore, though. So technically, House Lendaris and House Drevyn are on the same side.
Okay.
And how do I know Knight Julan?
Basically, just through various jobs. You've heard of Knight Julan. He does a lot of face-to-face work, not like the guy people talk to in regards to House Drevyn, but he does do a lot of in-person communication on behalf of House Drevyn. So a lot of the times people are coming to him if they have an individual or an incident related to his house. So in your time doing various bounty hunting jobs, it's like a situation of, I've pursued someone who had some connections to House Drevyn. I never spoke to Knight Julan myself. It was probably Gen who spoke with him then and told you about it. So you know he's kind of like the face of the house, almost.
Okay. Well, then let's not waste any more I would say daylight, but we got none. She will button up her newly stitched shirt, the blood still staining where she was cut, pull on her leather accoutrement, and stride out for Knight Julan.
And Kuvos will follow, as that is also someone he needs to talk to. But kind of look back at the group like, is anybody else coming? Or is it just me and Suda?
Elena's coming.
I definitely, yeah.
Yeah, is everyone going?
I do not think that I would make this conversation go smoother than if I was not there.
Well, if you don't touch anything and you don't
Break in through any windows?
make any comments, it might go a little better.
I'm just saying that I might be more useful just snooping around while the rest of you talk to them.
I could do some snooping, Olwen. That could be fun.
Yeah, why not?
Carradine will take just a moment to clean up blood, needles, anything else. I want to minimize any evidence that we were here for a very long time.
We do have room reservations here, so
Yes, but no one needs to know anyone was injured in the course of any work that we may or may not have been doing in this vicinity.
Sage, before all of you go, I have something for you.
Hmm?
Can I have the leather thing that you're putting your rock in back? I made you a better one. This one should actually function better than just a leather strap tied to a rock.
all right. I mean, it's serving its function, but do you want anything for? I'm handing him the Adderstone on the cord that's just very square knotted in the back.
Owen hands you like a pouch with like a strap running through it. There's like a little thing to like put a cover on and easily like take it off. You want to pull the rock out. It's a tiny little pouch on like a strap, just so you're not carrying a rock tied to your body.
All right, I will take it. Do you at least want the other one back?
Yes, it's good leather. I can use it for something else.
All right.
You all exit from this inn, setting out into the dark, dark afternoon here in Walking Still. I mentioned, Suda, you do have an idea of where the estate is here in Walking Still, so without really needing to roll for it, it takes a few extra minutes than it maybe would, because you have to maybe figure out where you are, retrace steps a few times. You haven't really gone here yourself before.
There's this scene where she's walking down a street and she makes an abrupt right while the group's following, and then immediately spins around and walks the other way.
You all easily enough locate the House Drevyn estate, 15th house of the Empire. Coming upon it, you see it is not like the extravagant noble mansions that you've seen in Seer's Morning. It is a nice home, more similar to Athen Cleary's nice, modest townhome than the large mansions in the capital. You see, it has like a central courtyard that is fenced off by a large iron gate, but the gate is currently propped open. You see, there is 2 carts in this front courtyard that are like parked off to the sides. The backs of them are swung open, and you see a couple workers pulling crates out, pulling supplies out, like bolts of fabric and such, crates of food, just taking supplies into the estate. You see there is a tall, middle-aged, human-looking gentleman who is standing there with his sleeves rolled up, motioning for someone to hand him a crate. Very, very dark skin and very, very short-cropped hair. And he's standing there calling to one of the workers on the cart to hand him another crate. You see 2 young, like teenage-aged boys behind him of a similar complexion and features to the older man. And they are loading themselves up with crates, putting stuff on their shoulders, putting it in their arms, and carrying stuff into the house. And you see another gentleman, similar in age to the first one. This one also appears to be a human gentleman, sort of tanned under the sun, workers like farmers tan, dark hair that is tied back, and he has like a leather logbook as he's calling out to the other darker skinned man. My liege, I promise you we can handle it from here. Please put the box down. I promise we can do it. do not need you out here carrying all of this in. It is a very bad look. And the first man waving him off, I can carry things fine, Julan. I did not work for the first 20 years of my life just to stand here and watch other people carry in boxes of, what are these, fucking oranges? Here, boys, come back. I have another one for you. See the two teenage-age boys come scurrying back out the front door, run back over. They sigh, and take another box, and be like, yeah, all right, taking these. You know, what's the point of all this? Like, we're like fucking rich now, and now we gotta still carry shit. I know, man, come on. This is carrying stuff in. But you see this scene unfolding in front of you.
Suda kind of strides up, hearing the kids muttering. It builds character. And you don't want to become scrawny little weaklings, no? Otherwise, you have to contend with people who are stronger than you, can overpower you, and that's not a good time for you. And just grins.
The one that seems to be like the older sibling is like staring at you a bit dumbfounded, holding this box in his arms, and is just kind of like squints his eyes, mostly just confused. And what seems to be the younger one like elbows him in the side. She's right. I beat your ass last week. No, you didn't, dude! And the other takes the box, runs back inside, and his brother runs after him.
We're looking for Knight Julan. We have some need of assistance in a hunt.
You see what you heard as to be Knight Julan, the one holding the logbook, gives barely a second's glance over to you as he's still dealing with what you would assume is the Archduke himself. Standing here, still embroiled in this argument with him, glances over at you for barely a second. A moment, please.
Please take your time. We would love to speak with you when you have a moment. And Elena says this with her ring showing.
Knight Julan gives you maybe half a second more of a glance and just kind of nods. Right. Archduke, what the fuck? He says as you look up and see the Archduke jumping down, holding a giant bolt of fabric under one arm and balancing another crate on top of his other shoulder. Goes like, technically, I am over you in rank. I'm gonna have you executed for this, Knight Julan. And he turns and starts walking into the estate, and Knight Julan just...
Suda glances back at the group and just goes, I like this guy.
He is intriguing. And Elena dips into a proper little curtsy as he goes by, just because that's what you do when an Archduke passes you.
I do that, but a little less gracefully.
He nods in your guys' direction. Alina, definitely you know. This is Archduke Kale. He does nod and acknowledge you while holding all of these supplies, does his best to give a little bow, but mostly just scurries in to set his stuff down before coming back out.
Just continue, please. Don't let us interrupt.
You should not be bowing to me. No.
Just a moment. He just scurries inside.
It's fine. You just, sometimes when you curtsy to them or bow to them, they curtsy or bow to you. It's like an acknowledgement of the thing that you just did. They won't go quite as low as you, and that's like, it's polite.
Okay, I'm more accustomed to a nod.
That's fair. Some folks are more respectful than others with that sort of thing.
Just standing there awkwardly waiting.
Yeah, it's like the little like friend nudge, like, this is okay. Here's how it works. I got you, fam.
This scene of a little bit of chaos is unfolding in front of you guys. The Archduke and what you would have to assume his two sons are insisting on carrying some of the shit in themselves, and they do not slow down even for a moment. Knight Julan, kind of accepting this size, snaps his logbook closed and tucks it under an arm before turning to face all of you guys directly. Gives a deep bow of acknowledgement for straightening up. Apologies for the unseemly scene in front of you. Archduke Kale is an interesting man, to say the least. I am Knight Julan. You said you were looking for me.
Suda gives a very flippant kind of salute in response to the bow, never standing on ceremony. Yes, we have a runaway magical object that is of unique nature, and we're hoping that you might be able to give us some guidance on how to capture this thing.
He looks confused for a few seconds, but understanding quickly crosses his face, and he sighs once again. Right. Right. I assume it was only a matter of time before Athens sent a few people to ask me about this. Very well. Give me just a moment, make sure this is situated, and we can sit and speak on this. He turns to some of the people unloading the carriages, barks off a few orders, sighs once again very loudly as the Archduke comes running out and takes another box and gives it to his oldest son, who goes, "Ugh! Yo, you all right there? Fedor, you okay?
I got it! I can carry it! I'm fine!
You sure you don't need help?"
I got it! I'm good!
Giving a very quick look over to Suda, like bending at the knees.
Oh, Suda's just like passively watching with this barely concealed amusement.
He struggles the entire time. His younger brother's like worriedly scampering beside him, like hovering hands, trying to make sure he doesn't drop it, but the older brother is like, "No, I got it, I can carry it." "Dude, you're gonna fall down the stairs."
I got it! Yep, I'm good!
They struggle into the house. Knight Julan returns to your guys' side and motions you all to step aside with him. Sort of off to the other side of the courtyard, there's a little bit of a garden area, some like a stone bench set up. He walks over to a bit more of this peaceful area of the courtyard, glances into his logbook again. You see he pauses for a few long seconds as he scribbles something down, glances up at the carriage, scribbles down a few more notes, snaps it closed once again, tucks it under his arm. "So the incident that occurred at Madame Cleary's residence, how much has she told you? How much do you need me to fill in?"
I think we've got pretty much the gist of it.
It would be useful to know from your perspective if there's anything differing.
Right. So he leans back against like the trunk of a tree and seems to consider for a moment. "I went to Madame Cleary's residence to pick up an order for another gentleman. Once we were there, we went down to the lab, we were speaking over some of the details. I heard a strange manner of speech from under one of the cloths. It was words, but not in a cohesive sentence. It sounded like something was speaking random words that it had overheard, but in a random order. It wasn't anything I could repeat. It was just words picked from a hat."
Were you hearing the words on the air or in your head?
"Speaking aloud, yes. I knew it was from within this thing. It was muffled, like someone was speaking from behind a door. There was a peculiar tapping, clicking sound, I guess would be a better way to describe it. And then the glass just burst, and this abomination of a creature came running out. I have no idea what it was, but
What did it look like?
it was made of copper-like material. It looked like a bronze statue almost, with a few exposed spinning gears on it, with no facial features. It just looked like a silhouette of a man, but no distinct features. It came bursting from this strange glass cocoon, whatever she had it in, and came directly after me. I moved and put myself behind one of the lab tables, trying to put something between me and this terrifying creature, and it did the strangest thing. It jumped over the table and landed behind me. I can only describe it as it took great care to make sure it did not ruin anything else in the lab after it broke out of its container. It moved incredibly fast and with incredible dexterity, not something I would expect of something made of metal like that. It's got a few blows off. He pats like the side of his rib cage, where he's clothed and armored, but kind of pats his side. Got a few blows off on me. I did hit it back with the sword, left a few gashes. After it took a few hits, it almost crouched down, almost like it was afraid, like it was suddenly realizing I was fighting back, and crouched down in fear before springing up and, on all fours, bounded up the stairs and disappeared.
Do you know if it has any arcane capabilities of any sort?
Nothing I noticed. It was really just wild punching and fighting.
When it attacked you, you said it seemed afraid once you started fighting back, but What was the level of strength that it came at you with? Did it seem like a trained fighter or like it was a brand new recruit that you would go up against or teach?
In terms of experience, it fought like a babe that had never seen a day of battle in its life. It was flinging its fists around wildly, just hoping to connect with anything. In terms of intent and strength, I don't think I've ever been hit harder in my life. It carried with it what I could only describe as the most pure and intense fury I have ever seen.
What was the topic of discussion with Miss Cleary when this happened, in that moment before you heard the clicking?
We were discussing an invention that I was to pick up for another gentleman, as I mentioned. Just discussing details of it, some requirements that were needed.
What invention?
Well, that, unfortunately, is between myself and my associate.
I understand.
Completely makes sense. But was there any particular thing that the invention is for or purpose for it? Any details you can give? We suspect that this creature took action based on potentially what was being discussed in the room, so we're just trying to understand what triggered it.
Can you just give us a category that its use would fall into?
He looks between Alina and Sage very slowly and just lifts his eyebrows. No.
Did you discuss the names of any other individuals in the creature's presence?
No names were spoken. We were towards the end of our conversation when the thing broke out of its glass cocoon.
If I might ask, was there any sort of disagreement? Was there any sort of indication that you might have intended to harm Miss Cleary?
Not to my knowledge. It was a conversation with Madame Cleary as all others.
Were you forceful or angry with her because things had taken a long time?
To my memory, I would say no. Then, of course, people do tend to paint themselves in a better light than actuality, so that would maybe be something to ask Madame Cleary if I was in any way forceful or aggressive in my manner of speech. He pauses for a moment and seems to think hard on the details of the conversation. The only thing I could maybe point out as possibly being mistranslated, I offered her once again, not me offered, I reminded her of the offer that the Archduke Kale had for her to join the ranks of House Drevyn in a more official capacity. She politely declined as usual, but I relayed the message. She declined. We returned back to the topic of conversation on the invention, and as we were finalizing details for pickup is when the creature attacked.
Interesting.
Is there any indication of where it went from after it attacked?
I did not see which direction it went towards, but two things I would keep in mind. As I said, it took extreme care to make sure it did not destroy anything around it once it had broken out. It moved incredibly fast with incredible dexterity and weaved around tables and lab equipment expertly. So I wouldn't be looking for a path of destruction to find it. I doubt it would leave any. Secondly, as I said, I did get a few hits in myself with the sword. My guess, it would have to find some way to patch the holes and gashes that I left behind.
Did it have unique tracks, special feet, I guess?
I suppose I would look for normal human-shaped feet, but no marks of any soles of shoes, no individual toes, so just a very blank, perfectly smooth footprint, I would say.
You clearly know your way around this town, and he sort of gestures to the ledger book in his hand and where to source interesting items. If you were looking for material like this to patch something up, where would you start?
He holds the logbook a little tighter as you motion towards it. There's a number of metal workers in the city, of course. I would have to assume, as this creature is not made of flesh and blood as we are, it would go somewhere. I would assume a metal worker would be equivalent to a healer, as it would to us. That would be my assumption.
That is mine as well.
Is there potentially someone in the town who would have that level of skill?
Oh, many. There's many craftsmen, artisans around Walking Still that have that. I would start with ones nearest to Madame Cleary's estates, possibly, and work your way out from there. He tilts his head back as he considers. I believe the closest one, there is a craftsman called Cinna, maybe 15 minutes walk from Madame Cleary's estate. Start there, perhaps?
It's good as lead as any.
And if he hasn't seen anything, he can send us where else to go. He'll know the others.
Of course. And if there's anything else I can do to assist, Madame Cleary's an excellent individual, and any assistance I can offer her, and by extension, those of you working for her, please do feel free to stop by again and let me know.
Of course. I actually, if you don't mind walking with me for a moment, I had a couple other questions unrelated to this matter.
Of course, give me just a moment. He nods to all of you, gives another bow, and quickly returns over to the carriage, speaking with what you have to guess is another member of the estate, seems to be maybe like the next one in charge. Talks to them very quickly. You see the Archduke pass by, hit him really hard on the back, and he's sort of laughing at him about something. And Knight Julan obviously winces, kind of for a second going to clutch the side where you guess the Dream Crown kicked the shit out of him, but instead just stands very rigidly, nods very stiffly towards the Archduke, bows to him, and then hobbles back over to your group.
I'd like to kind of lean over to like Alina and Suda and be like, one must wonder if the Archduke himself might be willing to enter tournaments and such.
I have heard that he delights in such things, certainly. He's certainly known among the elites, as it were. And when she says elites, like, it's not with any kind of superiority.
Julan returns to your side, Kuvos, has a bit of strain in his voice. Walk with me, if you would.
Of course. And Kuvos will walk with Julan out of earshot. I actually came from Sia's morning, and I suppose you know of an Ushed Grimeno, correct?
He pauses and kind of crinkles his brow as he seems to think. He takes the logbook from under his arm and flips it open and flips through a few pages. I knew I recognized the name. Yes, I was set to meet him. Oh, goodness. The time has already passed. I suppose I did miss the meeting. He never did show up. A few weeks ago, we were meant to have a meeting. I was meant to be picking up a package from him, delivering it to another associate. I'm sorry, what is it about, Mr. Grumeno?
Well, that's why I had wanted to speak with you, because he was also a contact of mine that I was supposed to pick a shipment up from, and, well, I showed up directly to meet him and found him deceased.
Oh dear. Ooh, that is no good at all. He flips another page and scribbles something else down within the logbook. Thank you for delivering that information to me. I will have to pass that along. Is there anything I can assist with the matter, I assume, is why you wanted to speak with me?
How much did you know of Ushed's dealings?
Not too many details. I'm really only privy to, sort of on a need-to-know basis. I am the bridge between contacts, essentially. I do much of the face-to-face work for House Drevyn, and by extension, House Drevyn's associates. I know there was an unmarked package I was to pick up and ensure got delivered to another associate. From there, unfortunately, I have no further details.
Do you know what was in it?
I am not normally privy to that information, I'm sorry to say. It wasn't the first time I picked something up from Ushed. It was always unmarked crates. Nothing too large, smaller crates. I mainly just coordinated their delivery.
Understood. And did you know that he was a dealer of salja? Or rather, a supplier?
I believe I did. I knew he worked in more, not quite arcane, but in that same sort of realm. I never did ask too many questions, an arcane-type dealer working out of Sia's morning, you tend not to put them on the spot too much.
Of course.
How did Ushed Grimeno die?
Well, it seemed that he was attacked in his office.
Attacked by whom?
That's what I'm trying to find out, and what he might have been attacked for. Now, the only thing I can really think of is I've come across the information that he was dealing with Salja and also with the Conclave.
He pauses for a long moment. That explains the secrecy behind the shipments, I suppose. I'm sorry, what was your name, young master?
Kuvos.
Wonderful. He shakes your hand firmly, opens up his logbook once again, makes another note. Well, I'm afraid I can offer little details regarding Ushed. As I mentioned, he was a contact of an associate that I did communications for. My advice to you would be to seek out this associate that actually dealt with Ushed. His name is Van der Feller. He may still be here in the city. I would find a contact of House Gravestock. He works not for House Gravestock, but directly for the city. So I would find a contact of House Gravestock. Maybe go to City Center, see if any of the watchmen there can put you in contact with someone from House Gravestock. Say you're looking for a Van der Feller.
Thank you, this has been very helpful.
Of course. And if there's anything else I can do to assist with the investigation, do let me know.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure making your acquaintance, Knight Julan.
Of course, Sir Kuvos. He nods to you, steps away. As he walks back towards the carriage, you see him stop just a few paces from the commotion at the carriages, open up his logbook again, glance towards the party, glance towards the estate, look at his logbook, write something down, close the book, and continue his day.
Can I make an insight check on that?
Yeah, of course.
Oof, that's an 11.
He's taking notes of you guys. Whether he's just an extremely organized individual, taking note of interactions and visitors and such, or something else is hard to say. But you can definitely assume he's taking notes of both you and the party.
Perfect. And Kuvos will kind of wince at that, realizing he did give this guy his first name. And he's probably going to have to start being more careful, though he didn't necessarily think of that in the first place. So he kind of ponders it for a second and then returns to the party.
Okay. Kuvos, as you're walking back to the party, a few paces away from the party, you do get that familiar telepathic ping of your sending stone. And you hear coming in over this sending stone, Kuvos, I know you've reached Walking Still. Where are you? Exactly where are you currently?
Kuvos will stick his hand in his pocket to grasp the sending stone, trying to be subtle about it, since this is not something he's revealed to the party just yet. And in his mind respond back, I'm at the estate of House Drevyn, speaking with Knight Julan. Why?
Wonderful. Exit the grounds, but stay right outside. I'll be there in a moment.
Understood. And he is going to walk calmly back to the party.
We are gathered in a group discussing spells and things that we have that we might be able to use. The topic of the suggestion spell has come up, and maybe ways that we can use that in this scenario just to kill some time. We've been discussing it.
Yeah, we've been comparing magic notes.
And Kuvos just kind of stands calmly and says, so I won't be able to join you all right away. I have something else I need to take care of first.
Is everything all right?
Yes, just, he'll look back to Suda for a moment and say, something related to the business that we'd encountered.
Insight check, if I can. Something is weird here. Something feels hinky.
For sure. Kuvos, deception or persuasion, whichever suits you better.
I'll roll that as well. I'm not great at insight, but there's secrets here. I can smell them. I got a 2 + 1 for a 3, so.
22, because I rolled a nat 20.
Oh, shit!
Okay. I rolled a 12. So what you're seeing is he's not lying, Alina. It is related to the business that he's talking about to Suda. He looks a little panicked, like something has happened that he didn't quite expect related to said business. And he doesn't quite want you all caught up in it.
Regardless of the fact that Sage is not picking up on his panic at all whatsoever, I think we should avoid doing solo errands for the time being, considering it's all of us or none of us for Duke Leto.
That's understandable. I need to meet with a contact that's probably not going to appreciate anyone else's presence, except for... He looks at Suda. I can pass you off as a bodyguard, that's about the best I can do, but I don't know if this is a person you're going to want to meet.
You'll know me. I'm a people person. I think I can play the stout, quiet person.
He pauses and looks at you, trying to make it a bit clearer without expressly saying it. Based on earlier travel, I don't think this is someone you're going to want to meet.
Whatever you think is best, then.
My int is 20. Can I connect these dots, or does my 3 insight also affect this?
We'll call it your 3 insight. Sage is preoccupied. Sage is thinking about spells.
Okay.
Kuvos, while you're having this conversation, what's your passive perception?
14.
14. You, as you're speaking to the rest of the party, just out of the corner of your eye, past the gates, like going off the grounds of the House Drevyn estate, like into the open street, you see quickly walking around a corner, dressed in the dark red robes of a magister.
Do we hear Kuvo say, "Oh fuck"?
You see Magister Kieran walking around the corner, head high, shoulders back, walking with purpose straight towards the estate.
Well, fuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll be fine. Give me 20 minutes, and if I don't catch up with you in 20 minutes, then you can come looking. But I'll be fine.
Where are we going looking?
I'm sticking around this area. And he's going to walk away very quickly, knowing that it's probably not going to be appreciated if he's seen with a noble, and again, he definitely doesn't want anyone else getting caught up in this or himself getting in trouble for bringing others in on what he assumes he's supposed to do alone.
So with that, as Olwen and Carrie are being sneaky in the neighborhood, is there any chance at all we have seen this fucking Magister walking around?
He's wearing bright red robes! He's wearing bright red robes!
I will clarify. You two sneaking around, you're not privy to any of this conversation. You guys are outside the gates of the House Drevyn estate. You do not notice the Magister approaching, because he's not wearing anything obvious. He's just wearing dark red robes. Nothing else, just the color. You do take notice, because you see Kuvos walking quickly out of the gate towards this gentleman and meeting him halfway. Just for what you guys see, you see a tall, sort of broad-shouldered, but pretty slender gentleman in like his 40s, mid to late 40s or so, sort of like mid-tone tan skin with a bit of stubble on the jaw, like he's normally clean-shaven, but hasn't been for the last couple days. Very, very long, dark black hair tied back in like a perfectly straight, slick ponytail with streaks of gray going through it, kind of showing his age a bit. Appears human gentleman, dark brown eyes, but there is almost like a ring of like kind of like lighter color around the pupil. It's pretty noticeable because it's pretty bright. Not like it's actively glowing, but it just kind of, that's the feature that gives you pause. Kuvos, recognize of course Magister Kieran as he approaches you. Walks with full confidence, as you always see him do, hands crossed calmly and neatly behind his back, wearing like the long wizardly robes, but no filigree nor decoration, just seems to be a nice clean dark red set of robes. You know he's identifying himself as a Magister of the Conclave to people who know what to look for, but people who are not in would just see a guy wearing normal clothing. But he meets you about halfway from outside of the gate, walking straight up to you, pausing right in front of you, not saying anything, just giving you a quick once-over. Got rid of your robe.
It didn't seem safe here.
Smart choice. I know my arrival is unexpected, believe me, it is fucking unexpected on my end, too. He lifts one hand, kind of scratching at his jaw, taking a look around the street, just very casually and calm in his demeanor. You're traveling with others, correct?
Yes, they...
Where are they?
And he points inside. They spoke with Knight Julan about a separate matter, but I pulled him off to the side for this one.
He glances over your head.
Do I see him at this point? Is this within eye?
Yeah, you guys all see him.
That's a Magister.
As you guys look, as he looks at you, he points and motions you to come closer.
Immediately, Suda's hackles are raised, and she is going to stay right the fuck where she is.
Who walks over?
Elena will kind of take a moment to glance at Sage, actually, and sort of nod at her, and then assuming Sage seems to be on board, kind of do the sweep over, but in an almost formal approach. This is very like back straight, very formal, very you have power, but so do we kind of mode.
I look at Suda and I want to like nod in farewell to her as if she is not part of our group, as if she just happened to be here and we were having a conversation with her.
There is a glance of appreciation and nods in return and turns away.
So Sage and Alina approach. Suda walks away as if not part of this. Carrie and Olwen are still kind of staying off to the side, separated from the group as well. Because you guys do see a couple of your party members also approaching. So Carrie, Olwen, you guys are witnessing all of this happening.
How much of the conversations that have been happening is Olwen privy to? Because I can read lips.
You being able to read lips, you're privy to all of it. They're standing on an open street, not being quiet. He's just being very calm and casual in his speech.
Okay, so I'll also cue like Carrie into like what the conversations are as like they're happening.
So Kuvo's standing in front of the Magister, and Sage and Alina approach. Suda staying behind, Carrie and Olwen watching from the side and sort of picking up on the conversation.
I don't curtsy or anything like that, but I do, as once I've approached, Magister, Prefect Nemenath let us know he had some conclave business to take care of while we were on our journey, but I did not expect us to meet you.
He holds up a hand. That is unnecessary, please. Formalities, unnecessary. My name is Kieran Windcrook. Each of you are. Looking to both of you very expectantly.
Magister Kieran, Elena Monsensiru, of House Lindaris.
Sage Xenius.
Wonderful. Walk with me, if you would, all three of you.
And Kuvos immediately follows behind.
Anyone thirsty?
No, I'm all right.
I am. There's this pub I passed by on the way walking over here. Looked wonderful. Looked like the kind of shit that you could drink and forget about your entire weekend. Let's go there, shall we?
Rather not forget the weekend quite yet, but absolutely.
I suppose Elena gives Kuvos a long look if she can catch their eye of like, is this typical? Like, how should we be interacting here? What's going on, friend?
So Kuvos himself looks very stiff, more so out of the panic that you saw before. This was unexpected, especially with that 20 insight, Alina. Like, this was completely unexpected for Kuvos, and that's why he's panicking. But as you kind of look at him, he pauses for a moment and kind of nods back at you like, yes, this is typical. Don't be worried about it.
I think I am also being a little stiff, but also I'm like, I don't have to be overly respectful.
Yeah.
A little bit of spite there.
I will say, Kuvos will hear in their head from Elena's voice, we'll follow your lead.
And he'll respond back, thank you.
With Carrie and Olwen sneaking behind, I can safely assume, I think, Suda, are you sneaking behind as well as the four of them begin to walk away?
Yeah, sure. Why not? The only other thing I can think of is to start looking for those tracks, but I imagine they're a little bit further away.
Yeah. So the three of you kind of sticking behind and like following from afar. Go ahead and just give me a stealth check for all three.
I don't think I could give you guys any inspiration yet.
18.
13. Not the best roll.
Oh, it's better than mine. 11.
Okay. So we have 11, 13, and 18 as you guys kind of follow behind. Suda, you can kind of drift in with the other two as you begin to follow, the other two begin. So you guys are kind of, not like in a tight packed group, obviously trailing someone, but you guys are near each other and aware of each other. Olwen, I will tell you if their conversation reaches a point where you can't read their lips anymore. You're kind of following from behind, so you can only really tell if they're like looking to the side. But given that you guys are kind of sneaking behind, you can pick up snippets. But I will say you don't hear too much as they're walking. Just mainly Kieran talking boisterously about getting drinks at this pub. Kieran leads the three of you kind of a few blocks away to this very small corner pub, opens the door, immediately approaches the bar, speaks very rapidly with the bartender, ordering a full bottle of some expensive wine and setting it down in front of Alina and Sage along with 2 glasses, nods to you two, and then puts a hand on Kuvos' shoulder and starts leading you away.
And Kuvos will follow, without question.
He stays within the pub, just kind of leads you to sort of the other side, a table sort of in the corner, gets the two ladies a drink, and takes you off to the side, essentially. Takes a seat at the table, motions for you to do the same, and just kind of deflates the tiniest bit. Just annoyed and exasperated. So, I know you're probably questioning why the fuck I'm here. Believe me, Nemenath, I am doing the same. I know we sent you out on a mission related to this missing shipment.
Mm-hmm.
Cardinal Amafrey approached me directly this morning. He called you out by name and told me that to tell you to drop the search. So, my question, what the fuck have you found?
Well, and he's going to take out the letter that he was carrying in his pocket that he never showed to Knight Julan. Wait, did you receive the copy of the letter that I sent back?
Yes. I analyzed it, but I would love to see the original.
And he'll take it out of his pocket and pass it to Magister Kieran.
You hand it off to him. The kind of light silvery rings around his pupils grow a bit brighter as he seems to be doing some arcane investigation on this letter as he looks it over.
Someone knew that Grimeno was working with us, and particularly Knight Julan. Well, when I spoke to him directly, he didn't clue in that he knew. When I mentioned the Conclave by name, he said that it seemed to make sense with how suspicious and how few details were shared when they did business, but he made no move to make it known that he knew Ushed was working with the Conclave and had advised him against it. Now, he said that any shipments he's ever received from Ushed were unmarked crates. He never knew what was in them. He did tell me, though, that I should speak to one of his contacts, Vanderfeller, or someone who works with House Gravestock, regarding him.
Kieran looks confused. Alright. Right off the bat, no idea who the fuck that is. This Vander gentleman he said it was? Let me ask you this, Nemenath. Who do you see as more trustworthy in this situation? The dead man with a letter putting Knight Julan's name on his corpse, or Knight Julan?
Well, Knight Julan did seem very hesitant to give details.
I assume Ushed was also hesitant to give details given that he was fucking dead. Right. Here's the fucked up bit. With the Cardinal giving the order for you to stop this investigation, they have also demanded your return to the Conclave. Given that you are not out on an active mission for the organization, they've stated that you are needed back to continue your studies. My purpose in being here was to drag you back. Now, before you get that terrified look on your face that you always get, let me ask you this. And he levels his gaze at you, incredibly intense, man. Every time you have a conversation with him, it feels like that feeling you get when you trip on a completely bare, flat floor. You are so off kilter every time you talk with him. But he levels his gaze at you. Kuvos, do you want to be out doing field work, or do you want to be back at the Conclave?
Magister, I've learned a lot of interesting things since being out here. And I was just slated to leave on an expedition to Morakros. There are some strange happenings down there, and I was asked directly to travel with, he sort of nods very subtly back in the direction of Sage and Alina, with some researchers to discover what exactly is going on down there. I'm not saying I'm opposed to coming back at some point, but I would like to come back with more information than I left, even if this mission is no longer my prerogative.
Understood. Follow up. You said you've learned a lot. You wish to gather more information before returning. So, he opens his robe and reaches for one of the inner pockets and removes a small potion about an inch tall, bright blue and viscous, and sets it on the table. Feel free to use it if you like. What have you learned on your own out here on the field that you did not learn at the Conclave? Whether it be spell work, something more practical? Show me proof. Right now.
I'm assuming that the potion is what I think it is.
He's given you a free spell slot use, should you decide to take it.
Kuvos looks at it, but doesn't take the bottle. When I was in Seer's Morning, I encountered my first practical field use of magic. I've learned that getting up close and personal with the enemy is life or death, frankly, and I should not want to be. In Seer's Morning, I investigated the cause of the attack that held the upper city closed before I could find Ushed, and found that there were some strange creatures that had these red crystal growths coming out of them. They seemed mutated in some strange way, and these crystals seemed to have some sort of strange arcane energy of sorts that had some sort of healing quality, but were only activated when the host was alive. These are the things that are coming out of Morakrus, and the things that I would like to investigate further.
He hasn't broken eye contact with you this entire time. Just unsettlingly still and focused on you as you explain the whole situation. Takes a deep breath, exhales very slowly, takes the soldier potion back, tucks it into the inner pocket of his robe. Here's the plan then. Cardinal Emafrey is a fucking asshole. Don't listen to anything he says. He sucks. If he contacts you individually, I'm very unsettled that he knew you by name and spoke you by name directly to me. The exact phrase was, "Get Kuvos Nemenath out of the field this instant. Drag him back to the Conclave if you must." Bit unsettled by that, but we're gonna ignore that for now. Set that to the side. If he contacts you individually, tell him to fuck off. Don't tell him to fuck off, you'll get in trouble. Tell him to refer to your appointed Magister, Magister Kieran Wincrook, and I will tell him to fuck off. I have tenure, they can't do that. So, your quest, you've been booted off of the whole missing shipment mission. I'm assigning you a new assignment. I want you to go down into more Akros and see whatever fucked up shit is happening down there. Details to be figured out later, but that is your current mission, and you will be doing this on behalf of the Conclave. Do you accept this current assignment?
I do.
Wonderful. Now, I will go home and do the headache of paperwork. Unfortunately, I do have to confiscate the sending stone that was given to you for the mission of the mission shipments, as technically you are no longer on that mission.
Of course.
You are still able to send me letters, of course, should you need to. I will respond and assist however I'm able to. It just will not be immediate as it has been, I am sorry to say.
Of course.
He holds out his hand, takes the sending stone back from you, tucks it into the inner robe. He hesitates for a moment visibly, which is very noticeable because Magister Kieran Wincrook does not hesitate.
Mm-hmm.
I am unsettled by the swiftness in which they have demanded you be removed from this investigation. And I am also unsettled that, from a Conclave perspective, he glances for the barest of seconds over to the two that he left at the bar, got the bottle of wine for Sage and Lena, that you are technically cavorting with the enemy. This is not any fault of yours. I am concerned how the Conclave will see it, Nemenath.
I understand, Magister. If it needs to be presented, perhaps we say it as I responded to, well, let's just say I struggled to find the funds to send that initial letter back to you. I, in order to obtain more funds, took this mission, not understanding that there would be Empire involvement. My duties for the Conclave are separate from theirs.
Right. You sure you don't want to look into the School of Enchantment? I feel like you'd be very good at getting into people's heads. It's a wonderful practice of arcane.
Magister, I can't serve my home if I'm learning enchantment spells.
Right, you're noble and shit, I forget. Alright. Just... He seems to cringe at himself as he begins to speak the next sentence. When you first came to the Conclave, your parents approached me and made me promise to keep an eye out for you. I'm disgusted by the implication that they think I cannot take care of a child such as yourself, and by extension you cannot take care of yourself, but nonetheless, just move with caution, Nemenath. It's gonna be a fucking headache if you die and I have to do all the paperwork bits of a student dying on a field mission that I was directly overseeing. It's gonna look terrible on my record. I can't have students die under my supervision, so...
I will be as careful as I can, Magister. All of this you're saying about the Cardinal, Can you find out why they know of me? I don't believe I did anything outright that would draw attention to myself. In fact, I tried my utmost to be cautious.
No, from where I'm sitting, everything seemed fine. But you know as well as I do how concerning it is when a cardinal involves themselves in these sort of operations.
Of course.
All right. You're on a field assignment that I have given you. Your family sends their love, by the way. I checked in with them before coming here. They're grands. They are entirely too friendly. I had to sit and drink tea with your mother for an entire hour. Lovely woman, but I wanted to die. Your family is much too friendly for my tastes. It makes me viscerally uncomfortable. It makes my blood feel like it's turning. No, I think that's everything. Unless there's any other further questions, I'm going to look into the whole Cardinal business as much as I can. Obviously, as you know, I'm known for being a shit stirrer back in Wolves Landing, so it's not really going to be too out of the ordinary for me to pick a fight with some of the other wizards.
Actually, Magister, I did have a question. We were traveling and we were stopped by what appeared to be Empire soldiers, but they were passing out a flyer for a wanted criminal that said to bring them back to Wolves Landing. I don't know who it is, but that struck me as odd, and I wanted to see if you knew anything about it.
He pauses in his chair, his eyes brighten again as he seems to do a mental checklist. We don't have any active wanted persons, at least not for the Conclave. So whoever sent it out was not at the behest of the Conclave. They were working independently within Wolf's Landing.
Understood.
He reaches forward and, pats your shoulder and, immediately regrets it and, kind of pulls his hand back. Don't fuck it up. Like I said, representing not only the Conclave, but me. I have a perfect record. That's a lie. I have a nice record, and I don't need any more mud on it. If for any reason you do need immediate extraction, however, do write me a letter. It will not be exactly immediate, but if need be, I can direct you to one of the teleportation circles that the Conclave has set up. Depending on if you're in a major city or not, I can direct you to one of them that will take you directly back to the Conclave. So if for any reason you need a very quick extraction back home, do let me know.
Absolutely, Magister.
Wonderful. Well, I need to be off. I need to think of an excuse to give the Cardinal as to why I'm not dragging you kicking and screaming back into the classroom. He stands up from his chair. No, I can't punch a Cardinal in the face again. I can't.
I'm sorry, again.
Best of luck to you, Nemenath. He turns and begins to walk out of the pub, pausing long enough to nod in acknowledgement towards Sage and Alina, and then strides out. He leaves you to your business. The three of you that were sneaking, you guys are very lucky because Kieran rolled even more shits than you guys did for perception, so you guys were absolutely hidden for that encounter. Whether you decided to be within the pub and be witness to their conversation, up to you, or be outside. If any of you are outside, you do see Kieran just exit and take off down the street. But Magister Kieran leaves, and you are all, once again, able to convene amongst yourselves. As we finish out that conversation, however, I am going to end it here. So, everyone, thank you for joining us. I hope you had as much fun as we did. Everyone was feeling a little silly today, I think. Everyone's feeling a little goofy.
Just a little spicy.
A little spicy silly.
We had the giggles. So yeah, everyone's been feeling a little spicy, but I hope you had fun, and that you will join us next time. I'm so glad you've listened so far, and I'm glad you're having fun. If you're here, I assume you are. And we'll see everyone for our next session of Magnificence. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.